So, what my views were on the whole thing is that, um, I think with the black family, what happened is that in American culture, because see, technology moves forward, and in my opinion, I think we're still stuck on certain things. And what happened is that, with the whole Willie Lynch syndrome and the feminism, as a people, I think we're learning how to exploit each other. And what happened is that, the guys that we have now today, to tell you the truth, I think it's a watered down version of what we used to have due to the last 40 years of feminism and the thing that's going on in the explosive growth in single parent homes. So to tell these ladies the truth, a lot of times we can't just blame it on the women, because you have to understand that a lot of these boys walking around here and a lot of these sons that are walking around here in this period of time are already pre-emasculated. To tell you the truth, they're pre-emasculated. You said a mother can't teach a boy how to be a man, so a lot of times he has to go and search for a substitute, whether that be drugs or somebody else to kind of look up to. He's still a watered down version of a boy. So you have to understand that a lot of the pickings that these women have to go through are pre-emasculated men. And see, black men in general, if they know they're born into something like this, being that they've done their history and they understand what's going on and they have that type of awareness, they have to learn how to move in a certain way so that they can get what they didn't have over the years.
Then if the pickings are slim, in terms of if the pickings of the decent black men, based off of what you say, if they're slim, then isn't that all the more reason why black women should not be so quick to dog the few decent brothers that are out there? Doesn't that make a lot of sense?
But see, the thing about it though, that the way people act, dating is like I wouldn't say it's like a war zone, but it is a type of war zone. And the thing about it is that people just naturally think that, okay, well, since I got a boyfriend, I'm into dating, and I know what this is, and I know what that is, and I know what this is, and I know what that is. I don't have to work on anything, this, that, and the third. Like you have an influx of women that think that, okay, well, just because I'm a woman and I'm in a relationship, I'm automatically a good woman if he does something wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So what it really is that a lot of women hasn't even been coached well, even by their mothers to date. And see, that happens, and then that same girl that has a child has to go around and teach another kid. A lot of, when we talk about kids raising kids nowadays, a lot of these mothers were these same kids that we see right now. They just had a baby, had things thrown at them, and then they kind of coach themselves into thinking that they're grown or they have this, that, and the third. And you see, the reason why they keep these ideals and stuff like that is because when you discussing stuff with like a 40-year-old woman, a 50-year-old woman, a lot of times when somebody that's young that points something out, they can't take criticism. The older they get, it's the worse. They can't take criticism. So a lot of times when they do something wrong, they're not going to have somebody around to put them in their place, or to say something. Because you're never too old to learn something, and you're never too old to be put in their place. You can put a 60-year-old man in his place. He's going to be mad as hell at you, but he knew that deep down you said something right. So a lot of times too, when people are older, when they're dealing with younger people kind of see, okay, well, they got seniority over me, or they do know about certain little stuff, but if I know something about on this topic, call them on their bullshit. I think a lot of younger people need to call older people on their bullshit just as much as older people are calling younger people on their bullshit. And I think that we can learn, because a young person can learn from an older person, and an older person can learn from a young person. When you think about it, both sides of the spectrum work in unison. You got to understand, when you do a whole bunch of negativity, you can still become successful. When you do a whole bunch of positivity, you can still become successful.
In other words, old folks, just because you're old don't make you right.
Just because you're old,
that's my message to old folks and the younger people. Just because they're old don't make them right.
And if a lot of kids were doing their history nowadays, you will have an influx of kids talking about hey, hold on, let me go talk to my mother and my fathers. Let me go talk to people around the neighborhood. Let's go see, what happened back then to why we're like this right now.
Especially educational wise. Like, for example, if you go and see like homeless people on the street now, 9 times out of 10 they're older, in their like 60s and 80s, and are panhandling for money and such like that. And like younger people like us, it's not like we look down on them, but we walk past, without giving them money. Like, I had a few friends ask me, don't you feel bad about not giving them money? No, because back then I think older people had the best, not the best education, but the best education sources, as far as not, having to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to get in school and stuff like that, and taking all these extra big tests, and quizzes and things.
And they get the same degree.
Exactly.
They get the same degree.
I feel like it was a little bit more easier. I have a lot of old folks tell me how easy education was back then compared to how it is now. So, and you always, have a second chance, a third, and a fourth. You're never too old to get an education, and things like that. There are GED classes out here, only $20. There are shelters out here for these people.
There's opportunity.
Exactly, and for free.
And a lot of people too haven't been taught to take these opportunities.
Right.
So they put themselves in position to suffer even more when they really shouldn't have to.
You really see. I don't.
What do you think?
Like I said, well, you guys give the benefit of the doubt to older people that I don't give.
Yeah, I know. Because he doesn't.
As I've gotten older, when I was a kid, I used to ask myself a lot. Why is there so much hypocrisy? Because I know when you're young, you look at the hypocrisy, you listen to what older people say, and you watch their actions, and they don't jive. I was saying that as a kid. I'm grown, 35 now. I'm basically, because I'm around a lot more older people now, I basically see it now, and it's like I can't. Maybe because, again, I remember how it was when I was a kid. I deal with mostly younger people, and it's like I tell old people all the time. It's just, at least try to be consistent between what you say and your actions. So at least try. It's like nobody expects you to be perfect, but it's like, you guys see, 35, 40-year-old parents. You guys watching, so I know you guys know what I'm talking about. But it's like.
But see, my thing with education is times change, and I think that education needs to change with time. Like I was talking to you a couple of times. I said, in elementary school, I think at the end of the day there should actually be a psychology class where they teach kids that, okay, well, not everybody's going to be nice to you, not everybody's going to be a certain way. People are this way, and this is how certain things happen. So when these kids, leave from school and they're looking at people around in their community, they can kind of put two and two together. And I think that.
Well, I think they have started doing it. You can't change people's individual mindset in terms of how they interpret education.
That too. But I was saying, like the psychology of just humanity should be in like elementary school, because you gotta think about it. When these kids are small, they're
learning on their own.
Yeah, and their brain,
what they see and what their mothers and fathers are telling them.
Yeah, their brain is recording a whole bunch of things.
And basically, like their parents are teaching them or telling them what they want to teach them, instead of like stuff that actually goes out in the real world.
Yeah, like things that they'll need for the real world. Because what happens is, and we got a couple of minutes here. What happens is when an adult gets trapped in the corner, he refutes back to what he learned as a child. You understand what I'm saying? When he's down to the end of the fuse, they refute to what they learned to back as a child. At least if you know that these kids are going to be in certain positions like that, it's good to teach them stuff that they can use, that they can actually learn, like how people are, like this person's religion is going to be different. I wouldn't say how to deal with gay people, but how to. Not make it a big deal or a big issue. Certain things not to be an issue. I think overall you have to teach kids not to take certain things personally.
But you can't. Everything what you're saying in a perfect world, that's how it should be. But it goes back to the younger people need to be able to read. Just like something as simple as you and I were talking about Tupac and all this bullshit about Tupac being alive and how younger people under the age of 25 believe that shit. Well, y'all believe it because the older folks are telling y'all, and they know y'all don't read shit. So, it's like y'all need to take the initiative, and they were saying it to me when I was a kid, y'all need to take the initiative to read. Right. So they're not going to tell you. You don't expect older people. Older people, like I said, are naturally hypocrites. They're not going to admit to what they did. They're always, every generation is always going to be like, oh, my generation wasn't anywhere near as bad as what yours is. Right. And it's like, and you know I'm right. So it's like people my age,
They say that because their parents said that.
Right.
Well, no, they say it because as you get older, you start looking back on what you did. You start getting ashamed. You start, like I said, no 40-year-old, and you try to convince me of this. I don't give a damn if you 40, you were Southside. You don't forget that you were Southside when you were 25. I don't give a damn. So I mean, these people my age, they remember what they did. Yeah. They know what they did was as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to admit that to their 5-year-old kid.
That's true. Okay, guys. We're gonna continue the discussion with part number 3.